Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for everyone who's joining us today. This is the very, very first Talking TRM podcast live. So there's a few things that could happen. I've just realised that Ivor's around, as somebody just came to the door and he started barking. So we may have live Ivor. And also I'm a little bit nervous because usually I have the opportunity to make a mistake and edit things. So let's just hope that it all goes well and we'll see. But thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to be on from now until about 10 to 5 to 1, depending on the volume of questions that we have got. I've got a lovely assistant in the background, Donna, and she's going to be helping me get the questions on screen so you can ask away. So this is how it's going to work, hopefully. We are live right now on YouTube and LinkedIn, and I'm going to give you an update and share some insights with you about a topic for about 10 minutes. You guys can type in your questions and I will do my best to cover off as many as possible in the time that we have. We'll also collate the best questions and get those on an answer sheet, which you can make available for you. So make sure that you're following our various channels. And we will publish this podcast as a live audio, so you can go back to it at various times. For this very first live, I promised that it was a subject very close to my heart, but it's a bit more than that. I'm just checking because I'm frozen on the screen and I just want to make sure I'm okay. I'm frozen on my screen, so a little live stop for a moment. Is everything going okay that end, or am I completely frozen? Because I am frozen my end. Donna, just let me know and I'll carry on, but I don't want to carry on if it's not quite right. Okay, technical issues. Great, thank you. That's fine. I'm going to carry on. All good. So let's just get your comments live and let's carry on. So I promised that it was a subject that was close to my heart, but I really hope it's going to give you some clarity on a few things to really ensure that we're on the same page and we can confidently talk about what is really happening in the evolution. Oh, someone has just come back and said I am frozen. Okay, interesting. Good to know. Thank you, everybody. Bear with. Okay, frozen. Excellent. Bear with us, everybody, for a moment for this little technical hiccup. Oh, I'm back. I'm moving. I can see I'm moving my end. How's that for everyone? Oh, you can hear. Okay, so you can hear. That's excellent. Okay, it's all good. So really, it's about getting us onto the same page to confidently talk about what is really happening in the evolution of standards across travel risk management and how you can get ahead of the game and start getting prepared now. So, as we know, 31030 was released in 2021, pretty well timed as the world was still in the throes of a global pandemic. It has been incredibly well received by organizations and the industry alike. But the question that continues to be asked is, when will it be certifiable? In fact, there are already several companies offering a certification against 31030. And whilst this goes some way to help us understand the desire and the interest, I just want to say this right now and for the record, you cannot certify against the guidance standard. That said, there are also lots of organizations offering fantastic products and services, from self-assessments, gap analysis, to full program support. And this is all really good stuff, and it really should be utilized. Just be wary of claims of certification, at least today. Because whilst all of this has been playing out publicly, a lot of work has been happening in the background, and that's what I'm going to try and lay out to you today. So back in 2021, just after the publication of 31030, work began on what's next. Did the industry want a requirement standard in this space? Or where duty of care was a legality, was a guidance standard enough? And what would a requirement standard look like in travel risk management? And finally, what were the showstoppers in making this a reality? So a working group was put together in the UK at a national level, and it included a wide range of subject matter experts from security, legal, travel, insurance, technology, and organizations that run programs. Because the key showstopper that we discovered really early on was the reliance that organizations have on their supply chain. And what I mean is the responsibility that the supplier has whilst the traveler is in their care. On average, a traveler could be experiencing sort of 10 to 15 suppliers when they're on a business trip. But if it's a complicated trip, this could mean a lot more. So let me break this down because some are obvious. The travel arrangements, for example, air, rail, accommodation, and ground transport, but some are less obvious. Think of a traveler's data journey, for example, that starts before the trip and is often lingering long after the trip has finished. So, whilst using services, our human and data selves are exposed to a variety of risks, some of which can be proactively minimized by the vendors themselves. But right now, vendor management related to travel risk management is in its infancy. And despite the best intentions by many, the reality is that resources are limited and there is a lot of focus on cost, where duty of care can become an unaudited checklist. And for those companies that do have something in place, perhaps security is part of the RFP process. A lot of it is left to trust with little validation. And the job is absolutely massive to do this. Imagine how many services are being used in a program, some direct, some indirect. A travel manager might have 500, they may have 1,500 hotels on a program. And that's just hotels. And what level of due diligence can really actually be done when you've got that space? So let's think for a moment what that actually does look like. Larger organizations may split the management of security and HR, travel, procurement. So systems and solutions and services are managed by several people. But that then puts us in silos and doesn't necessarily give us a holistic view. SMEs that don't have something in place, and that's 98% of businesses, are literally kind of leaving this to chance because they don't have anyone managing this at all. And there's a lot of assumption that this is sort of being done by somebody else. The third part of this is that it's really important to see this from the supplier side because some are not completely aware of their legal and moral obligations with regards to duty of care and travel risk management. But from the other side, many are currently reacting to questionnaires or assessments piecemeal. So it's not only time consuming and repetitive, but it's not even 100% fit for purpose because as good as an assessment is, it's as good as the day it was done. And whilst it's better than nothing, what if we could do better and make it easier for everybody? What if a buyer could have the same confidence in a supplier's travel risk management capabilities in the same way that they would say for cybersecurity or quality management? So over several months and a lot of consultation, our work concluded that if a requirement standard was to be created for organizations based on 31030, then a requirement standard for travel service providers was necessary, giving both supplier and organization a platform from which to deliver. Sorry, I don't know. Stop. Let's just go back over that. So giving both supplier and organization a platform from which to deliver meaningful, auditable travel programs. In fact, the idea of a standard for travel service providers was unanimously agreed, whereas organizations, some will still continue to sit on the fence. From here, it's been a process, from national standards, drafts and proposals, up to consultation with ISO committees to expand the reach of what we were doing and to get more insight and feedback from the international community that ISO represents. This is no mean feat and it has taken a lot of time and work. But we have now submitted 2 proposals to ISO and work is due to begin later this year on the creation of these standards. To be clear, what has been submitted are proposals for 2 Type A management system standards, one for organizations and one for travel service providers. I'm just going to stop for a second. I'm just going to let that sink in. So if anyone wants to start putting in questions, now is a good time to start doing it, and I'll start answering them. But firstly, let's just be clear, what is a management system type A? So it's a requirements-based standard for a start, but think of them more like the management system standards that you already recognise, such as 45, which is occupational health, 9001 for quality management, and perhaps 27001 for cybersecurity. And it just means that it's a different set of requirements that can be audited externally. You don't have to do it. Company isn't forced to do it, but they exist very much in the way that other ones do today. And I'm really interested to kind of get your feedback if you guys have got some thoughts on any of this. Everyone's being very quiet at the moment. So let's talk a little bit about what we mean by travel service providers, just to kind of get the breadth of what we've been doing and what we've been talking about. So we mentioned right at the beginning that an average journey could sort of have 10 to 15 different travel service providers on it. So when we're talking about this, we're not just talking about travel service providers, we're talking about the entire journey from start to finish. So this is talking about the booking piece. This includes your management companies. It includes data management companies and actually where that profile data sits and how that flows through. It includes the suppliers themselves, so the more obvious ones, accommodation, ground transport. Think about the airports themselves. Think of these areas where your travellers are passing through that all have a part to play within security and safety of that traveller's journey. It also includes another big sector, which is security. So think about your traveller location tools. I was very careful with my wording there. Think about your, sorry, the dog's starting again. Think about your assistance companies, medical and security. Think about the reporting on the other side of it. There are so many different suppliers within this chain. It did feel like it may have been too big at one stage, and that was a lot of the feedback that we got while we were going through this process. But actually, the reality is everyone just has their part to play, and understanding their responsibilities and how that relates to travel risk management allows us to create something which will really change this industry in a really positive way. So I'm still just looking for comments, and okay, I'm just saying I'm still frozen, but I'm loud and clear. That's all right. I can cope with being frozen. I'm probably doing something horrendous, but there you are. Any questions? You're all very quiet. I was expecting a little bit more feedback from an announcement like that. They're coming. It's true. So whilst we are just waiting, in case anyone has any questions, if not, then I will just summarize, because really I think it's about what can happen next. Now we're beginning to make these announcements. So I think what's really important is don't wait. Travel risk management isn't a fad. It's not going to go away. And actually its very roots are within duty of care and your responsibilities to your travellers, not just in the workplace, but when they're on the move. It's an extension of perhaps your health and safety, but it's just a different way of looking at this. So you can get involved actively, of course. You can get 31030 today. 31031 is also available. We talk about a lot about that, which is youth travel and school groups. Thank you, Sarah. That is a question. Donna, if you want to pop that question on, that would be lovely. So how quickly do we hope to bring the certification to market? Really, really good question. So there's a lot of background work that's already happened. We would be looking to do this work quickly. And the first piece of work will be done over 12 months, 12 to 14 months, which is the creation of everything. And then there's a whole process that we have to go through to make sure that it's reviewed and goes through various processes to do that. So we'll be looking within 2 years from the start date is what we're aiming for, Sarah. So reality will be 2027. My other feedback would be to start engaging with your vendors now, because this is going to be quite a process for some of them. Thank you. There's the dog. See, he's encouraging us. This is quite a process. This will be quite a process for some. Excuse me, Ivor. Thank you. This will be quite a process for some of them, and it's important that they understand that you're leading this if you are a program manager, and that this is important to you to ensure that this gets the traction, I guess, that it needs. What's really cool about travel risk management, though, which I bang on about all the time, is that it's an umbrella. It's going to bring so much of your other stuff together that you don't necessarily know what to do with. And that's the same for the travel service providers. They've got so many different directions they're being pulled in. They need to talk about their sustainability program. They need to be able to prove their health and safety. They need to be able to prove their cyber security. That's just 3 off the bat. There's a whole host more. Actually, travel risk management can bring all of this together, and that is the desired approach. But also bring in business continuity and this understanding of preparation, being aware of your risks and how you are going to mitigate them, reduce them, etc., etc. So it may feel like another thing, but it's actually not designed to feel like that. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it today. You're all being very quiet still, so that's fine. What I want to then say is, how can you get involved if you're interested in doing more of this? And my intention is, as we go through this process where we can, we will sort of talk about what we're doing, because I think it's important that everyone follows this journey and it's not something that's just sort of tucked away somewhere. So if you want to get involved, there are various ways that you can do that. I would suggest just as off the bat, just contact me directly and I can push you in the right direction, because it could be via your national standards bodies, or there are other ways of doing it too, if that's not something that you can do. So it's important that we have a variety of experts wanting to get involved with this, but also ask questions. But it also is important to us that there's people who are perhaps not directly involved in it, but have questions, because that helps us form what we're doing and it makes it fit for purpose. And that's essential. So we're up to nearly 20 minutes, which is great because I managed to fill it, even though you've all been very quiet. I'm sorry that there's been a few technical issues today, but there it is. It's our first live. Like I said, we intend to do more, and we will, when we have things to update you on or that we want to get your feedback on. So hopefully you guys will get more into the throes of doing it, and let me know what your thoughts are. You can always get in contact afterwards as well. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to throw anything else in the chat. So other than that then, well, thank you for joining us today. You have been listening to Bex Deadman, also known as Travel Risk Bex. I'm the host of Talking TRM, the podcast, and this is our first podcast live. And we've been talking about the evolution of travel risk management standards and the work that will be continued this year. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.